Hello, friends. How are you today? Really, how are ya? I am a day late, but we are on episode 11 of Is It Expired? We are going to make this short and sweet today because it has just been a really long couple of weeks for me, and I was too tired to do this yesterday, so I'm trying my best. I'm here, and we're just going to kind of fly through things. First of all, do not use expired makeup. I know what the consequences can be, and if I end up with a rash or a breakout, that's a choice I've made. I don't recommend you do this. The reason I am doing it is because I have been collecting makeup for about 10 years, and I have an Excel spreadsheet with 1,000 products that have accumulated over the years. I forget about a lot of these things, and I just want to either show them some love or, if it's time for them to go, get them out of my collection. So let's get started on what I pulled last week, see if I made any progress, and then we'll just move on to this week. So last week I did actually get ready quite often. We had quite a few events to go to, so I did end up having to go full glam a lot of days, and it was a lot of fun. First of all, I did have the BH Party Girl After Hours palette, but I did determine it was expired. I did not use it for the week, and that is already in my declutter bin. So let's move on to what I was able to use. First of all, this is the I Heart Revolution, Makeup Revolution, Cult of Revolution fixing spray, the cucumber scent. I don't love the scent, but as you can tell, I did get quite a bit of use out of it during that week. I go through fixing sprays, setting sprays very, very quickly. This is only a couple years old, so no matter what, I know I'm going to use this up. Next I have the NARS Laguna, just the mini bronzer. This is not my first Laguna bronzer. It's not my first rodeo. So I know I like it, and I know I'm going to use it up. This, I think, is only a couple years old. I believe it was a birthday gift in 2021, maybe? I think. So I am going to definitely keep using that. Back to the Cult of Revolution. This is the... It's mad at me. The Vintage Lace Highlight Palette. I really, really love this. Again, this is about 2 years old, so I am just going to keep using it. I definitely did get a little bit of use on each and every shade in here, so that was a lot of fun, and I'm just going to keep on playing with it. And last, I do have the NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in Cruella. I did end up sharpening this about 3 times. I took it with me on my nights out, so I did get quite a bit of use on this, and I'm just going to keep using it. It's still super smooth. This is probably about 8 years old, so it's incredibly old, but it performs beautifully. It would stay on really lovely. It didn't dry or crack my lips out, which is surprising, especially in this weather. Everything on me is dry and cracking at this point, so that tells me something. So I am going to keep this in my collection and keep using it. I love a good red lip, and it's such a perfect tone for my coloring. That's happening. Cool. So that was last week. Nothing too crazy. I do think that perhaps in 2024 I'll be able to use up that NARS lip pencil. It's getting there, slowly but surely. But let's move on to what I'm going to be wearing this week. Knock everything over. I'm getting better. It is actually a lot cleaner. Things are kind of coming together a little bit. We're getting there. We're getting there. So first off, I do have the Jaclyn Hill Armed and Gorgeous palette. I think I have 3 of these. I got them 4 or 5 years ago. Not super long ago, but they are getting a little bit older in my collection. This is the palette here. It's really, really lovely. The shades are pretty powdery, so I find there's a lot of fallout, but there's also a lot of pigment. They blend beautifully, so I'm going to keep using this. I really do like it. I did use this actually yesterday and today, so I've already had a little bit of fun with it, and I'm excited to use it for the week. So it's gotten a little bit neglected in my collection, for sure. But, as you can see, like, everything still swatches beautifully. That's a matte and a shimmer, and they're really stunning still, so it's definitely... Oh, it's gone. It's definitely time to get some use out of this. The one thing that bothers me about this particular packaging, not palette, because they're all like this, I don't know what this material is, but when it gets dirty, it just stains. So I take my makeup wipes and I try to clean everything off after every use because I am a little bit of a clean freak when it comes to my makeup. But this, it's like, it just stains and I can't get it all off, and it drives me a little bit wild. So that does deter me from wanting to use it, because I don't like when things look dirty, but I will use it for the week, and I do actually like the formulation, so I do have to get over that in my head. I know. Okay, next. Next I do have the Marc Jacobs Shameless Foundation in Light R250. There is actually an expiry date on here, and I don't want to say it. I think I got this in 2019. It expired April of 2020. So there's that. With that being said, I'm wearing it today, and honestly, like, my skin hasn't looked so natural and just smooth in a long time. So I did, I mix up my primers and then my foundations, and I was so impressed with how this went on and how it applied and just how my skin looks today. I'm not itchy, I'm not scratchy, I'm not red, I'm not inflamed. So I'm going to keep using it, regardless of the fact that it literally expired almost 4 years ago. Technically. This, I don't have an ingredient list because it might have been on the box. However, in Canada, most foundations that actually do have an SPF, so a zinc oxide, titanium oxide, or the chemical sunscreens, they don't always promote that there's a sunscreen in them. And I don't remember the legalities of it. I don't remember why that's the case, but a lot of things that come up from the US have to change their packaging and not promote the SPF in Canada. And it has something to do with the percentage or the fact that it's in another product. I don't really remember why it's like that, but if this did have a sunscreen in it, that very well may be the component that expired. And that's totally fine, because I'm not using this as a sunscreen. I use something separate, a whole different thing. Obviously, I use like a sunscreen in itself, because that's what it's for. I'm not looking for my foundation to have a sunscreen component, but that very well may be why it had an expiry date. Very possible. But moving on. Next, I will never get away from the Cult of Revolution. It's just not going to happen. It's not that I used to really like them. I do actually really like the brand. I just haven't been wowed by anything recently, so I haven't really purchased from them in just about 2 years. So again, it's not that I dislike the brand, it's just nothing's really caught my attention in a little while, and that's fine. I'm sure they'll have a comeback. I'm sure something will come around that I like. But this, I think, was my first purchase from them. This is the Loved Me the Best Vivid Baked Blusher, and this came in a set of 5, I think, and I've used one totally up. So it's possible. I've done it, and I do really like this. This is probably 7 years old, but it's still like very blendable and easy, and I love the baked because it just kind of looks like natural skin. So I do really enjoy these, and I'm gonna keep using it. And they're doesn't smell like anything. That would be weird, right? It feels the same. It still has the same consistency. The packaging is not great. It doesn't really click shut anymore, but not the end of the world. It's fine. I like it, so I'm gonna keep using it. And then I have the Morphe Latte Brow Cream. I am honestly quite unfamiliar with brow creams. I love the idea of them. But I had one from Shop Miss A a little while ago, and I don't know if it had dried out or if it just wasn't a good product. I hated it. I ended up decluttering it. I couldn't use it. It was making me crazy. It didn't come on the brush at all, so you had to put some water in. Then it was like a water activated, it almost had the consistency of a water activated liner. So when you were trying to do your brushes with it, it was just thin and flimsy and weird, and moving on, didn't like it. This, however, I did finally use today, and I am more accustomed to a pencil. I am, I'll be honest. I did finish my e.l.f. one recently, so this was kind of nice because it was like, hey, what do I want to bring in next? I don't know if it will necessarily be this because I still like a pencil, but this I did enjoy, and I think it's going to be a learning curve, but I was able to get there. I did get there, it just took a little longer than I'm used to. This is fairly new. I think I bought this either at the beginning of this year or the end of last year, so quite new to my collection, and I'm just going to keep playing with it, and I'm going to learn how to use it, because I think the color's perfect. I do like the consistency. I think it's just something different to work with than a pencil. And last I do have the Annabelle Demure lip liner. This is probably 6 or 7 years old, but it's almost empty. It's almost done. There's very little left. It's just a nice, beautiful nude lip liner, and probably not this week, but it is something I will for sure use up next year, so I'm not too worried about the age. It's still very, very smooth, very, very creamy, no issues with tugging or pulling. Doesn't really smell like anything, so I'm going to keep using that, and I do really like it. That is this week. Like I said, short and sweet, and that's all I needed for today, something to just kind of have up. Not that anyone noticed, it's fine. But this is more for my accountability of using products that I haven't seen in a long time. And that's what this is for. So, I'm doing it for me. But that's all. Have yourselves a wonderful day, weekend, journey in your life, and I'll see you next week.